The fact that she keeps trying to justify what she did by attributing that as a direct correlation to my flaws really bothers me. She keeps telling me that she is surprised I would throw away 7 years of a relationship over this. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, gonna go over a story titled Cheating Fiancée. And a big shout out to Joseph for sending me this story. And guys, this story is about a guy. He's 32 and his fiancée is 31. All set to be married. Everything's a go. But ultimately, he ends up kicking her to the curb before the wedding because she cheated on him. But here's the thing. We've all heard this horrible situation before. When he finds out proof that she's cheating on him, every step of the way, she blames everything on him. And I do mean everything. She takes zero accountability for her actions, okay? And I mean, she takes it to a whole new level than what we're used to, you know? And I thought this would be a good one just to show you the extent of why there's the joke about women and accountability, because, you know, like, it doesn't happen, okay? And how always things are shifted around and the gaslighting and the blaming of the guy. The guy does nothing wrong, really, and she puts it all on him. It's unreal. But fortunately, this guy, he realizes it's not going to work with her, and he handles it like a boss. So it's a good one, but sadly, way too typical. So it starts off, he says, let me start from the beginning here. Yesterday, I met my fiancée at our wedding venue for our 4-month out meeting to finalize details. We drove to the venue separately because she was leaving straight from work. Towards the end of the meeting, she let me know that her friend was dropping off her rental car and needed a ride home, and asked if I would be okay. Her friend, huh? I said yes, thinking nothing of it, as it wasn't that far from our home, and I know her friend very well. I'd get home and tried to get in touch with her for the next 3 hours. No answer. At approximately 1:30, I texted her friend and asked her if she made it to her okay, as I was very worried. My fiancée ends up coming home and says she's sorry it took longer than expected, and she hung out with her friend for a bit before leaving. Okay, no biggie, just let me know next time, please. Yeah, that'd be considerate. After all, I'm going to be your husband. Her friend gets back to me a few minutes later and says, sorry, I couldn't make it to the venue, didn't see your fiancé tonight. Wait a second. Isn't this the same friend that his fiancé said she was hanging out with? But right here, she's saying, I couldn't make it tonight? Where was the fiancé? Where could she have been? I asked her why she would say this, and she said she didn't know, she can't control what her friend says, and walked outside. I'm sketched out as fuck at this point. I've never done this, but I looked at her phone records. Yes, I did, and I don't regret it. I saw that she went outside and she called her friend that had texted me right after she went outside. I also saw an hour-long phone call with a number I didn't know on the way to the venue. I asked her what the rental place they went to and multiple other questions. She had quick answers, and they all seemed legit. Of course, these gals are master liars. They're master actresses. I thought maybe I'm crazy here. I need to chill and sleep on it. This morning, I asked her to please see the text from her friend asking her to pick her up, and I would apologize for questioning her the previous night. And she said no. I said, when I caught up to you yesterday on the way to the venue, I saw you were on your phone, and who was that? She said, oh, that's the friend I picked up later on. That's when I knew for a fact that she was lying. I said I looked at her phone records, and I knew that wasn't true. She then changed her story again to say that, oh, I need to meet up with a coworker to discuss a patient. Patient? Is she a nurse? That would just be perfect if she was a nurse, because, you know, the stereotypes about the nurses. So what do we have here? A lot of suspicious activity. Things don't match up. The friend's backing that she was lying, and she can just change her story like that. Now watch this. Who is the coworker, and why couldn't you discuss that over the phone? I need to show him the techniques in person. His name is Michael, she said. Oh, I am sketched out beyond belief at this point, as we never lied to each other. Well, you may never lie to her, but she sure as hell lies to you, my friend. I asked to see the text with Michael. She said she wouldn't let me. I said, why not, if there's nothing to hide? Are you having an affair? Do you not want to be together anymore? She pauses and proceeds to tell me all the things that are wrong with me. Oh, how nice. All the things that are wrong with him that she hasn't communicated she had issue with up until this point. Because it's just easier to cheat. And remember, if it's the guy's fault, it just justifies all her negative actions. He says, I work too much. According to her, I work too much, and I don't spend enough time with her and don't listen. I'm astonished at this point, all to this news to me. I put two and two together at this point, and I know something sketchy is going on. I again asked to see the text. It took me about half an hour convincing to see these texts, and they were crazy. Sexual nature and talking a lot of shit about me. So, fiancé, why the hell we get married then? You got so many problems with me, and not to mention the fact you're having sexual conversations, and no doubt hooking up with this dude. And notice that she said that she's mad because he works too much, doesn't spend enough time with her. I guarantee you that if he didn't work enough, then she'd probably be pissed off that he's not bringing enough money. So he can't win. But again, it's your fault. You forced me to cheat. Also, how she wanted to be with him and how they're essentially in love. She started this job a month and a half ago. He's her coworker, and he's 15 to 20 years older than her and divorced with multiple kids. I'd be like, honey, you can have him. You can go have your 15 to 20 year older guy with multiple kids. Have a great time. We're freaking done. And again, of course, it's all his fault. I've been financially supporting her for the last few months as she's gotten back on her feet and was working extra. I was working extra so she wouldn't have to pick up a part-time job. That's why he's working extra to help her. We own a house together, which we both live with 3 dogs and a horse. Sorry for the novel, I'm beside myself right now. I did not see this coming, and we were going to get married in 4 months. Any advice would help. Now, before I go on to part 2, here's the advice. Dump her. Now, he does, of course, but there's a complication. They both own the house, and they got 3 dogs and a horse. I never heard about a horse before, but okay. That's a tough situation. I'd be like, hey, they're my dogs. I'm getting my fucking dogs. Obviously, the horse is hers. Now for the update. As an update, I was finally able to sit down with her tonight and go over this. Again, she came in trying to blame me for what she did. Well, of course, it's always the guy's fault. Trying to justify the cheating and lying as a direct result of my lack of communication and listening. If she has issues in the relationship and not saying anything, isn't that a lack of communication on her part? Call me crazy. She said she wouldn't have to start talking to this guy if I had been a better listener. That I spend too much time in the office working and don't dedicate enough time to her. Okay, Your Highness. How about things you're not doing, but you don't see me cheating with some other girl? I tried to explain that I was putting in extra hours to try and support her and her family financially while she was struggling so she wouldn't have to get a part-time job. Smack. At this point, you don't need to explain shit. She's cheating on you. She's talking shit about you. She's an awful person. Not to mention a terrible communicator, and she's putting it all on you. Put these all together, there's no need to explain shit. All you have to do is figure out, okay, we're breaking up here, and go talk to an attorney to find out how as best as possible to handle the situation. I don't need to explain shit. But notice, in his explaining, he was taking care of her, trying to make her life easier. But nope, he's a bad communicator. He doesn't listen. He's never around. But otherwise, she'd have to have a part-time job and be bitching at him because she has to work so much. So there's no way to win here. She said that she would have rather gotten a part-time job, which makes no sense to me. It doesn't make sense because she's full of crap. She was under the impression that because this was short-lived, 1 week she'd say, and they only made out once. Oh, okay. They only made out once. Like we can believe that one. Because she's been so honest up until this point. And then we can move past this. When I wrote the text where she was trashing me and talking sexual with him, she deflected hard and I got nowhere with that. Of course she didn't get anywhere with her because you don't ever fight and argue with a woman. You're not going to get anywhere with that. Never argue with a drunk or a fool. I told her I am not the reason this is happening. She went too far and should have communicated with me or thought about the implications first. Oh, you mean a gal thinking about consequences? What consequences? Because this is the world where nobody expects to have consequences to their actions. And of course, she's not at fault. That I can never trust her again, and this is all because of her actions. Whether she wants to try and justify this as my fault is up to her. At the end of this, I got a bit calmer. I said, listen, we just really need to figure out the house we own jointly and the 3 dogs. We came to the conclusion that either I stay and buy her out or we sell and get in the new places. The dogs, one of us will get 1 and the other 2. To be honest, and that's to be determined. So that's where things left off tonight, and we'll continue to keep you posted on the progress. I'm curious what you all want to do about the house. Financially, I can support it alone, but it's nearly 3,000 square feet and 5 acres of land, which was bought solely for her to have a horse. She's taking the horse when she leaves and boarding it at a barn. So, now we're going to have another update, which will be more details about what was going on between them, which I figured you guys want to hear. But I'm glad he's realizing this is not going to fucking work. Now, this is a new article, a new story. So if he sold now, he would then have to get a new house at a much higher interest rate compared to what he got this, because you'll find out he got this at a very low interest rate. So now he'd pay much higher interest rates because interest rates have gone through the roof to combat inflation. But yeah, it's over. End of story. And I would take all the dogs and say, you can have your horse, but the dogs are going with me. And I would do what I could to keep the property and the land. You know, he'd be tight for a while. Maybe he can get a roommate or something, you know, but I wouldn't give up on the house. I'd buy her out. I'd find a way. Next update, and this goes into more detail of things went with them, which I figured you guys like to hear. He says here, I was able to sit down and have a 3-hour conversation with her tonight. I'm sure that was pleasant. We talked about our relationship and what led to what occurred. It started with her telling me that what I did wrong in our relationship, lack of communication, spending too much time working and on my phone. So she is really doubling and tripling down on that. I don't disagree with any of these things. My mindset behind working so much was to support the family, as a man typically does. I run an e-commerce business on the side and a one-man customer service center, and deals happen 24 hours a day. I'm never not on the clock. I could have certainly been better about setting my phone aside and responding to people the next day. Dude, you're on your grind with your regular job and the side business to do well for yourself and the family you thought you had. And this is the thanks you get. Sure, if she was unhappy, she should have communicated and they could have worked something out, you know, and that'd be reasonable. That's how a reasonable and a good woman would handle things, not this bullshit. No. But guess what? He dodged a bullet. He found this out before they got married. Now he can get rid of her without going through a divorce. And then he can be on his grind and make this part-time business a full-time better business than his regular job. So I'm seeing good in this situation. Anyway. The lack of communication was on both ends, and a prime example of this is the fact that I was unaware that she was unhappy with any of this. That's why communication is key, gentlemen. It was never communicated to me. She said she felt I would have gotten upset if she told me, but she never gave me the chance to work on it. She's full of shit. She's just trying to put the blame on you. I'm not a perfect person by any means, and many times I do say things that are misinterpreted by her as rude. An example of this is a week ago when I was trying to help her with a budget with her financial problems to try to set up a plan to get her on track. Did he just say to help her with her financial problems? So now he was going to marry a bad communicator and a gal with financial problems. Big mistake. Again, there's a silver lining in him finding out about her cheating before he got married. It says here, to note, I work in the financial industry and do this for clients all the time. She had mentioned that she owed maybe $1,000 and she would get that back to me the next paycheck. I said something like, I think it's a little bit more than that, and let's go through the transfers that I made to our joint account. It ended up being more like $5,000. So she's saying I got $1,000 of some debts I got to take care of, but upon a little scrutiny, it's really $5,000. It just gets worse and worse with her. My purpose for doing this was not to make her feel bad, but to realize how much I have been contributing. She took this as me trying to humiliate her. Well, of course. Notice the pattern. He's always the bad guy no matter what he does. I was just trying to help, and maybe my timing was off. She told me I'd been too focused on money lately, but I was only trying to make sure we were going to be okay. You know how many gals out there that are actually half-decent gals would dream if their husband was more ambitious, that instead of having his regular job and spending the rest of the time on the couch watching freaking sports and bullshit, was actually trying to make extra money, take care of the family. You know how many women would be grateful for that? And here, well, he's the bad guy for that. We still had quite a bit to pay for the wedding, and my budgeting mentality was on overload, trying to make sure we had enough, as any sensible guy would be. The fact that she kept trying to justify what she did by attributing that as a direct correlation to my flaws really bothers me. Again, take this as a silver lining. She keeps telling me that she is surprised I would throw away 7 years of a relationship away like this. And that they always say that. This is from the Hoe Bag Handbook, where they always say the same things all the time. I can't believe you're throwing away this great relationship we have over this. You're a cheater. And then when you found out you were cheating, you blamed it all on me. And you're a bad communicator. And you're bad with money. And all this other bullshit. We're done. Take your horse and ride off into the sunset. I keep having to remind her that I didn't throw it away. She did with her actions. She told me that I told her too many people too quickly and we could have resolved all this between us. She also said that she wouldn't have had to talk to someone else if I was a better listener and communicator. Again, blaming him for her cheating. I finally determined the extent of the affair, which I actually believe based on the text I read. They began talking about 1 to 2 weeks before via text. I don't know if they had met up before outside of work, but this time around he had asked her to the park to play basketball and talk. She met up with him and they ended up making out. I truly believe it didn't go further than that yet, but I would have in the near future, I am sure. At the end of the day, who gives a shit? She says he is not her boyfriend. She also took off tonight, and I have no idea where she's at, assuming with him or a girlfriend. I guarantee she's with somebody, one of them. There's probably another guy in the mix. And remember, it sounds like she's a nurse, so, oh Lord. It is an awkward living situation right now, but I'm hoping this resolves in the near term. I do think she wants me to get back with her and try to repair that. Do not. I think that's the main issue, was a lack of communication, and that manifested for a long time. No, she's the one, the lack of communication, and she's a liar, and she's a gaslighter, and she's just an asshole. You don't need her. We got into a routine, lived our boring, simple life, and meanwhile, this problem was never discussed and grew over time. She acted out instead of talking to me, and also lied to my face and talked a lot of shit about me behind my back. She can be very sneaky, and I don't know if I can fully trust her again. Again, more reasons to break up with her. Sneaky? The fact that you know that she's sneaky? Come on. You can't have a relationship without trust. Obviously, this would be the easiest thing to do, but I don't think I would ever truly be happy. You will never be happy with her, sir. Understanding the root cause has helped me feel better. If nothing else, it will allow me to address my personality flaws, communication issues, and see things from another perspective. I started hitting the gym today and will keep a routine going. Good for you, brother. I also plan picking up back on studying for my CFP designation. I took the week off to focus more on my mental health. Today I called the wedding venue and officially canceled the date. Hallelujah! We were able to get some of the money back, but I lost a bit unless the date can be resold to another couple, and that's unlikely. I also spoke with her parents again to keep them appraised. They live far away, and I'm sure our word is hell. I continue to let them know everything is fine and calm, and they didn't need to worry about their daughter. That's nice of him. He didn't have to do that. I did some research, and with interest rates where they are right now, I will not be able to find a comparable house for the mortgage that I paid for this. I can barely find an apartment for less nowadays. I think my best option is to try and buy out her share and have her find an apartment. She seems agreeable at this time. For now. We will have an appraiser out to assess the value of the house and see what half of the equity would be, and that is doable for me. My question to you all is this. Does this change your mind at all about the situation? Am I handling this properly? If not, what should I be doing different? Dude, the only thing you should be doing different is to speed along the process and make sure you get all the dogs. But no, I agree. Buy out her half of the place. Get everything in detail on paper. Don't do a fucking verbal agreement or anything like that. And there you go. Find a way to keep the house. Because you got the house, obviously, when interest rates were much lower, much better deal for what you're getting in terms of what you have to get now and the interest rates you pay for a loan. Because he said flat out, he can't get the same thing at the monthly mortgage rate they would. So yeah, find a way to keep the house. Okay, you have to live dirt cheap for a while, so be it. Get a roommate, even for a year, to help with the when you replenish things. But don't lose the house. And keep the freaking dogs, because I guarantee the dogs will like you better. And as for her, fuck her. Don't get back with her. But you'll learn a valuable lesson. And as much as it hurts this guy, I'm sure, because he was going to marry her, he could have married her. And imagine that mess, because there's going to be no making her happy. And the fact that she is, instead of acknowledging some blame on her part, it's all his fault. Everything is his fault every step of the way. It's ridiculous. And the fact that he knows she's sneaky, and she's a bad communicator, and she's bad with money. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And she's a cheater. And I think she's a nurse. So you put that all together, let her be some other dude's problem. There'll be some other poor sucker out there who will be happy to be with her, and you'll see what happens. But this guy dodged a big one. I wish him well. Alright guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. Let him know what you think. I don't know if he'll read this, but you never know. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.